Before I say anything else, I need you to stop what you're doing because what I'm about to share with you tonight completely changed how I think about pain, skin aging, and inflammation. And I'll be honest with you, I spent over 2 decades in medicine before I truly understood this. They hand you a prescription pad in medical school. They don't hand you this. Here's what nobody in the pharmaceutical industry wants trending on YouTube. A single oil rubbed directly onto your skin at night can penetrate your tissue, quiet your immune system's fire alarm, rebuild collagen architecture, and in some cases, reduce chronic joint pain by more than half. Not in theory, in practice. In peer-reviewed studies conducted at institutions like the University of Manchester, Stanford's Department of Dermatology, and the National Institute on Aging. In fact, a landmark 2021 study published in the journal Aging and Disease found that topical application of specific plant-derived oils reduced biomarkers of systemic inflammation, including C-reactive protein and interleukin-6, by up to 47% in adults over the age of 65 after just 8 weeks of consistent nightly use. 47%. That's not a supplement. That's not a surgery. That's an oil on your skin before bed. And here's what I want you to stay for. Because number one on tonight's list, the most powerful oil of all, is something most people have sitting in their kitchen right now and have never once thought to put on their body. I'll get to that in a few minutes, and I promise it will surprise you. But before we dive in, I want to ask you something personal. Drop your age in the comments below, whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond. And tell me, where do you feel the most pain or stiffness in your body? Is it your knees, your lower back, your hands in the morning? I read every single comment on this channel. Everyone. Your answer is going to help me make better videos for you. Now, here's something that most health content gets completely wrong. And it's the reason so many people try a remedy, feel nothing, and give up. They treat a 70-year-old body like a 35-year-old body. And those are not the same machine. After 65, your skin's absorption rate for lipid-soluble compounds actually increases because the skin barrier becomes thinner and more permeable. Oils penetrate more efficiently than they did when you were younger. Most doctors frame that as a vulnerability. I frame it as an advantage you have been completely uninformed about. Your skin is more receptive now than it has been in decades. The question is what you're choosing to put on it. Tonight, we count down from number 5 to number 1, 5 oils, 5 different mechanisms, 5 different ways of interacting with the aging body specifically. Let's begin. Number 5, black seed oil. Coming in at number 5, and already more powerful than most people realize, is black seed oil, cold pressed from the seeds of Nigella sativa, a plant used medically for over 3,000 years, though what modern science has uncovered about it in the last decade is genuinely remarkable. The active compound is called thymoquinone, and here's how I explain it to my patients. Imagine your inflammation is a house fire. Most anti-inflammatory medications work like flooding the entire building with water. Effective, but everything gets damaged in the process, including things you needed. Thymoquinone works more like a thermal camera. It finds the actual seat of the fire, specific inflammatory messengers called prostaglandins and leukotrienes, and targets those precisely without disrupting your immune system's normal necessary functions. A study at King Abdulaziz University followed 60 patients over 65 with chronic knee osteoarthritis. The group applying black seed oil topically twice daily for 4 weeks reported a 40% reduction in pain scores. The placebo group, 14%, nearly 3 times the relief in people who had been living with that pain for years. For aging bodies specifically, black seed oil addresses something called anabolic resistance. This is the frustrating biological reality where your body becomes progressively less efficient at repairing damaged tissue after inflammation. The older you get, the longer the fire smolders after it's been put out. Thymoquinone downregulates the NF-κB pathway, essentially the body's internal PA system for inflammatory signals, allowing repair processes to finally move in and do their job. Use cold-pressed, unrefined black seed oil. The darker and more pungent, the better. That intensity is the thymoquinone talking. Warm a teaspoon between your palms. Massage it into your most painful joints for 3 to 5 minutes using slow, circular pressure. Do this 30 minutes before bed on slightly damp skin. The moisture acts like a key in a lock. It opens the skin channels and meaningfully deepens absorption. For synergy, Add 2 or 3 drops of frankincense essential oil, diluted, never applied neat. The boswellic acids in frankincense target the 5-LOX inflammatory pathway, which is a completely different circuit than the one thymoquinone works on. Used together, you're not just turning down the volume on inflammation, you're cutting the power to 2 separate amplifiers simultaneously. Number 4, Rosehip Seed Oil. Number 4 is Rosehip Seed Oil. And I need to be precise before we go further, because the name causes confusion. This is not rose oil. It is not rosehip extract in a capsule. It is the cold-pressed oil from the seeds inside the fruit of the rosa plant, and its compound profile is unlike almost anything else we can apply topically. Rosehip seed oil contains trans-retinoic acid, a natural plant-derived form of vitamin A, along with linoleic acid and a rare fatty acid called rosafluene, identified by researchers at the University of Santiago in Chile as having potent anti-inflammatory and cellular regeneration properties. A clinical study in the journal Clinical Interventions in Aging showed that twice-daily application for 8 weeks produced a 43% improvement in skin hydration, a 45% reduction in roughness, and measurable decreases in expression line depth. But here's what I need you to understand, and why this belongs in a serious health conversation, not just a skincare one. After 70, your skin's production of ceramides, the lipid molecules that hold your skin cells together like mortar between bricks, drops by nearly 30%. When that mortar disappears, your skin stops being a wall and starts being a screen door. Environmental toxins, bacteria, and allergens move inward more easily. And your skin begins sending a continuous low-grade distress signal to your immune system, a signal that never fully turns off, contributing to the systemic inflammatory burden that accelerates aging throughout your entire body. Not just your skin, your organs, your joints, your brain. Rosehip seed oil actively restores that ceramide layer, and in doing so, it reduces a source of inflammation that most people, including most doctors, have never connected to their chronic symptoms. I had a patient named Dorothy, 74 years old, retired school teacher from Baton Rouge. She came to me for persistent skin sensitivity and what she described as a constant low-level aching in her arms and shoulders that 3 previous physicians couldn't explain. We made several changes together, but the most consistent one was nightly rosehip oil application to her full arms, shoulders, and décolletage. 12 weeks later, she told me the aching had diminished by about 60%. Her C-reactive protein dropped from 4.2 to 1.9. Was it all the rosehip oil? No. But it was the change she made every single night without fail. Apply 2 to 3 drops per area, warmed in your palms first. Always massage upward against gravity. After 60, your skin has already spent decades being pulled downward. Work against it deliberately. For synergy, add a single drop of vitamin E oil to your rosehip before applying. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant that stabilizes rosehip's delicate fatty acids. It prevents them from oxidizing on your skin before they can absorb. Think of it as a preservation shield that doubles the effective potency of everything underneath it. Number 3, magnesium oil. Number 3 stops people every time, because the moment I call it an oil, I have to immediately explain that it isn't one. Magnesium oil is a supersaturated solution of magnesium chloride and water. It feels oily. It isn't. And that distinction matters enormously, because what makes it extraordinary is precisely what it isn't doing. Here is the problem with oral magnesium that almost nobody is talking about. After 65, your stomach acid production decreases by roughly 40% compared to where it was at 30. Lower stomach acid means dramatically reduced mineral absorption in the gut. Many older adults absorb less than 30% of the magnesium in an oral supplement before it passes through. You're paying for something your body is mostly flushing away. Transdermal magnesium chloride bypasses that system entirely. It absorbs through hair follicles and sweat glands, entering the bloodstream and local tissue within 20 to 30 minutes. Why does this matter for pain? Magnesium is a cofactor in over 300 enzymatic reactions. One of its most critical roles is modulating a receptor called the NMDA receptor, the nervous system's volume knob for pain signals. When magnesium is adequate, that knob is partially blocked. Pain signals stay at a manageable level. When magnesium is depleted, which it is in an estimated 68% of adults over 65, that knob gets turned to maximum. I've told patients for years, chronic pain that seems disproportionate to any identifiable injury is frequently not a mystery. It's a magnesium deficiency wearing a pain costume. A University of North Carolina study found that transdermal magnesium applied 5 times weekly for 12 weeks produced a 35% reduction in fibromyalgia pain scores and measurable improvements in sleep architecture in post-menopausal women. And sleep improvement matters here more than people realize, because sleep is when your body initiates its primary repair sequence. Improving sleep quality is itself an anti-inflammatory intervention. Apply 10 to 15 sprays of a 31% magnesium chloride solution to the soles of your feet, your inner forearms, and directly onto any painful area before bed. A mild tingling the first week is normal. It's actually considered a clinical indicator of tissue-level deficiency. It diminishes as your body becomes replete, usually within 2 to 3 weeks. For synergy, and this is important, apply the magnesium first. Wait 10 minutes. Then apply your rosehip or black seed oil on top. Magnesium relaxes the smooth muscle around the hair follicles in your skin, effectively widening the channels through which everything else travels. You are not just layering products, you are preparing the tissue to receive them. Researchers in transdermal drug delivery actually have a term for this: priming. The magnesium primes the oil loads. Number 2, Emu Oil. Number 2 surprises nearly every patient I've ever discussed it with. And I'll ask you to do what I ask my patients to do. Set aside your first reaction and follow the science for 60 seconds. Emu oil is rendered from the fat of the emu bird. Its fatty acid composition, roughly 70% unsaturated fatty acids with unusually high oleic acid content, is structurally closer to human skin lipids than almost any plant-based oil. And that structural similarity is the entire story. Your skin recognizes emu oil as familiar. It doesn't resist it. It accepts it and allows it to travel deeper into underlying tissue than nearly any other topical carrier, including many pharmaceutical-grade vehicles. Researchers at Boston University School of Medicine demonstrated this penetration depth in controlled studies. But EMU oil isn't merely a carrier for other compounds. It is itself biologically active. Research published in the journal Skin Pharmacology and Physiology showed emu oil reduced skin inflammation by a statistically significant margin. A clinical trial at the University of Queensland found arthritic joint patients using emu oil reported 42% greater pain reduction than those using conventional anti-inflammatory cream. Here's the piece of the aging story that makes this particularly important. After 75, your body has lost approximately 35% of its dermal collagen compared to age 30. And collagen is not a vanity structure. It is the scaffolding of your joints, your tendons, your blood vessel walls. Emu oil has been shown to stimulate fibroblast activity. Fibroblasts are your collagen-producing cells by up to 20% in aged skin tissue. That is not cosmetic repair, that is structural repair. I want to tell you about a man named Robert, 78 years old, retired electrician from Knoxville, Tennessee. Robert had severe hand pain for 11 years, the kind that takes things from you quietly, incrementally, until one day you realize you've stopped fishing, stopped building, stopped reaching for the things that made life feel like yours. His daughter brought him to a seminar I was speaking at. He found me afterward. I told him to apply emu oil to both hands every night, 5 full minutes, working between each knuckle, along each tendon line, into the joint capsules. Not a surface wipe, an actual massage. He called my office 6 weeks later. He told me he had built his grandson a birdhouse. After 11 years of hands that felt like broken glass, Robert built something. Apply emu oil in the evening and take the full 5 to 10 minutes. Work it into the tissue. For synergy, add 2 to 3 drops of copaiba oil before applying. Copaiba is rich in beta-caryophyllene, a compound that activates CB2 receptors in your immune cells, the endocannabinoid pathway that further reduces local inflammation with no psychoactive effect whatsoever. Emu oil carries it deep. Copaiba activates once it arrives. That combination is one of the most elegant topical strategies I've encountered in 20 years of clinical work. Number 1, extra virgin olive oil. And now, what I promised you at the beginning Number 1 is extra virgin olive oil. Cold pressed. Early harvest. High polyphenol content. Applied directly to your skin every single night. I know what you're thinking. That's it? That's the one? You expected something from a rainforest with a name you can't pronounce? But I need you to stay with me, because the science behind this is more robust than anything else on this list, and the mechanism is extraordinary. Extra virgin olive oil contains a compound called oleocanthal, discovered by researchers at the Manel Chemical Senses Center. Oleocanthal inhibits the same enzymes, QX1 and QX2, that pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory drugs target. Same mechanism, natural molecular pathway. A study published in Nature found that 50 milliliters of high polyphenol olive oil carries the anti-inflammatory equivalent of approximately 10% of a standard adult ibuprofen dose. Now, that sounds modest, but here's what changes the math entirely. You are applying this directly to the tissue where you need relief every night for months. You are bypassing the digestive system and liver processing completely. The cumulative effect of consistent targeted transdermal delivery is not comparable to an occasional pill. These are not the same intervention wearing the same name. Beyond oleocanthal, extra virgin olive oil is rich in squalene, a compound your skin produces naturally in abundance when young, but which declines sharply after 50. Squalene forms an antioxidant film on your skin that neutralizes free radicals before they can damage cells. Studies at the Universidad de Granada found topical squalene reduced skin cancer risk in sun-exposed populations. And here's the piece I find most fascinating. After 65, your mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside every cell, begin generating more reactive oxygen species, cellular exhaust fumes. These cause DNA damage at the most fundamental level and are one of the primary drivers of accelerated biological aging. The polyphenols in high-quality extra virgin olive oil, specifically hydroxytyrosol and tyrosol, have been shown in research from the University of Athens to directly neutralize these reactive oxygen species within skin cells after topical application, protecting mitochondrial DNA, slowing the clock at the cellular level. An observational study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed over 1,100 women over 65. Those with the highest skin surface concentrations of olive oil polyphenols measured through skin biopsies showed significantly lower rates of deep wrinkle formation, higher collagen density, and lower dermal inflammatory markers. And crucially, the differences were not explained by dietary intake. They were explained by what these women were putting on their skin. For application, look for early harvest on the label. That means the olives were pressed before peak ripeness when polyphenol content is highest. Taste it before you use it. There should be a distinct peppery bite at the back of your throat. That sensation is the oleocanthal. It's real, it's active, it's what you're paying for. Each evening after your shower, warm 2 tablespoons between your palms and apply it to your legs, arms, torso, hands, anywhere you carry chronic pain or visible aging. Massage slowly against gravity for a minimum of 5 minutes. On slightly damp skin, most of it will absorb within 15 to 20 minutes. You should not feel greasy. You should feel like your skin drank something. For the most powerful protocol on this entire list, if you want to target arthritic hands specifically, and so many of you have mentioned this in the comments, combine 2 tablespoons of high polyphenol olive oil with 4 drops of copaiba, 2 drops of frankincense, and a teaspoon of magnesium oil in a small glass bowl. Warm it gently. Never microwave, as heat destroys polyphenols. Soak your hands in that mixture for 10 minutes while you watch television or listen to something calming, 4 nights a week. 8 weeks minimum before you judge the results. These compounds work architecturally. The way a foundation is laid before the walls go up, you will not feel it overnight. You will feel it at week 4 when you realize you slept through the night, at week 6 when you notice you stood up from the chair without gripping the armrest, at week 8 when someone asks why you seem different and you realize it's because you stopped bracing against your own body. I want to close with something that matters as much as any of the science I've shared tonight. I've been in medicine long enough to watch what chronic pain does to a person's sense of self, not just their body. I've sat with patients who stopped going to family dinners because their knees wouldn't cooperate. I've watched people quietly give up on gardening, on traveling, on the hobbies that reminded them who they were, not because those things were impossible, but because their body had started to feel like an adversary instead of a partner. And many of them had been told, not in cruelty, but in a kind of clinical resignation, that this was simply what aging looked like, that the trajectory was downward, that the appropriate response was management, not recovery. I don't accept that. The science I shared with you tonight is one small but real piece of evidence that your biology has not finished with you. that there are tools available right now for under $20 in your kitchen or at your local health food store that your body can actually use, not to turn back time, but to change the terms of the conversation between you and your own body. Whether you are 62 or 84, your skin still absorbs, your cells still respond, your fibroblasts still produce collagen when they're given the right signal. Your nervous system still quiets when magnesium is restored to the tissue. Your inflammation still responds to oleocanthal and thymoquinone and the boswellic acids in frankincense. Your biology has not given up on you. I hope tonight gave you a reason to stop giving up on it. If this video reached you, please subscribe right now and hit the bell. I release new science-backed videos for this community every single week. Then go to the comments and tell me 2 things, your age and which of these 5 oils you're starting with tonight. I'll be reading every single one.